And so the anger mounts in Texas.
Let the children go!
And in Washington, demanding an end to Donald Trump's approach on curbing illegal immigration, a policy that leads to migrant families torn apart at the border.
We are outraged that President Trump is sentencing these children to a lifetime of trauma.
Not far away on Capitol Hill, barely contained fury.
We will not keep kids in child internment camps indefinitely and hidden away from public view. What country is that?
For the moment, it's the way it is in Donald Trump's country. Detainment centers for migrants caught crossing into the U.S. illegally. Under Trump's directive, all adults are prosecuted criminally. Zero tolerance, which means children are automatically taken from their parents. And once again today, Trump himself dug in against the outcry.
We can't let people pour in. They've got to go through the process, and maybe it's politically correct, or maybe it's not.
Previous administrations prosecuted some such migrants, but not nearly at the rate Trump has directed. In roughly the past month, more than 2,000 parents have been held for prosecution, more than 2,300 children taken from them.
Anyone who has seen the photos, heard the audio of small children alone and afraid, crying out for their parents, cannot help but feel horror and disgust.
Tonight on Capitol Hill, on his way out after a 45-minute meeting with Republican lawmakers on this, Trump was yelled at by Democratic lawmakers.
Mr. President, don't you have kids?
Trump is said to have told Republicans at that meeting he'd sign off on legislation that would end family separation and provide for a border wall. Democrats note Trump could end family separation at any time on his own if he wanted to. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Now, Washington has a long history of using detentions and deportations to strike fear among illegal immigrants. Despite efforts by previous presidents to stifle border crossers, the numbers just remain high. So how does President Trump's approach compare to his predecessors?
We cannot and will not encourage people to bring their children or other children to the country unlawfully by giving them immunity.
The hardline approach originates with the Attorney General and Trump advisor Stephen Miller. They argue people will stop entering illegally if they know they could lose their kids. It's something George W. Bush and Barack Obama chose not to do, they said, for moral and legal reasons. Following a surge in 2014 of some 70,000 parents with children at the border, the federal courts told the Obama administration families could not be detained indefinitely. So rather than separate children from parents, families were released to make their asylum claims. The Trump administration now glibly calls that catch and release, suggesting those people just go underground.
You catch, you take their name, and you release. Oh, great, wonderful. Then they're supposed to show up to a court. There's only one problem, they never show up.
So while the Obama administration had no widespread policy of separating families, it tried to crack down in other ways. President Obama earned himself the nickname Deporter-in-Chief by immigration activists, given he deported more than 3 million people, the most of any commander-in-chief, in part because of more arrests at the border. But while Obama tried to stop people from flooding the borders, he also tried to protect 4 million undocumented workers already there.
Felons, not families. Criminals, not children. Gang members, not a mom who's working hard to provide for her kids. We'll prioritize.
The Supreme Court ultimately blocked Obama's executive order, and so this is part of Trump's hardline attempt to fix a system that politicians on both sides of the aisle recognize is broken.